In the beginning, there was nothing. The primordial void. Then within the void there was a voice, that spoke, and its words were,
"Let there be light."
Then from the voidless space there came a thunderous sound within the darkness that was the word, and that word was. The outcome of one of the 9 gates of Aeon, or gateway into the spirit world we each must pass through in order to transcend into our spiritual bodies after death, is a test with one of 2 ultimate fates awaiting him in the end. Either the equilibrium of your existence is judged to be a more positive influence upon creation in the grand perspective of events that you had the decision of its outcome and the results you were responsible for bringing about. Or the other's surmised effect your life has had on the cosmic equilibrium that led to destruction, loss, grief, decay and desolation without any statistical hope for salvation. These 2 complicated factors decide your passage through the 3rd gateway of Aeon. The you will stand to be judged for your life's works for that life. 2 beings shall be at your side. The one on the left, he will have been with you throughout your life. He is a demon, your tempest, and has been the one who has brought every tempting feeling to commit any wrong deed knowingly throughout your entire life. The other one to your right, is your guardian angel, who has been the presence behind every act of virtue you has selflessly desired to commit knowingly. They shall pour forth your life's memories, which you'll see as a fast-forward highlight of your life and the moments when the principalities of the human condition are found. These memories shall converge into a harmonic melody that is sung in praise to the one we call God, the true Holy of Holies. He shall hear the psalm of your life and judge which lessons and enlightenment he believes are needed, if any. This will begin your descent in the training fields of heaven, pandemonium, or to perdition across the shores of Aeon in the lands of Sheol, where you shall toil, suffer a spiritual discomfort that causes you to feel discontent with your surrounding and status in the afterlife. The only wholeness you will be allowed will be when you understand the enlightenment of the lessons placed before your astral form's path. Accepting these lessons, wisdom shall be the final step in reincarnation. From here, once you have obtained the wisdom given to you to learn that he feels shall lead you towards accomplishing that which he had designed you specifically for, your next life is selected, and back through the tunnel to the other side you're sent, which is called the Chasm of Oblivion, that is a vortex in the astral realm. They refer to it as the second death from which no one has returned, because they are sent back to reincarnate from there. The top image is a depiction of the infernal realms viewed with the vortex on the horizon. The soul is the raw life energy before it configures itself within a physical body. Its source begins within the soul stream, a fountain of pure unmolded soul energy. All sentient beings, including animals and even bugs, life force originates here. Within the astral realm it becomes fused by elemental forces, finite particles, even colors that fuse and give metaphysical aspects that eventually become emotions. When the astral form develops emotions, it begins to experience death, and the weight of emotion pulls it inexorably down towards the physical mortal world. The astral form dies as the soul incarnates into a mortal body. The body lives and dies, and upon the physical body's death the soul transitions as it detaches from the physical encasing and becomes the spirit. Once in spiritual form, the deeds of one's life and the memories of those who knew you and the emotional effect your life left upon the physical world determines how long of a lifespan one has in spiritual form. Once the energy that binds the spirit to the physical aspect of the mortal world fades and the spirit is able to let go of that which connects and holds it to the physical world, then it is able to let go of all obstacles hindering it from crossing over into the spiritual realm of the luminescence field, and a reverse sensation is experienced to that of transitioning from the astral to the physical world that has been described by many as crossing through the tunnel of light, and is the final stage of physical material decay, and the spirit then dies and crosses over into the realm of complete bliss that is without emotional turmoil or strain, or heaven basically. There all become one with the Creator, and each is repositioned according to the will of the source of all creation. Some remain in heaven, some are given tasks first that lead them back to become a part of the soul stream once again, only this time they have new attributes that increase the eternal evolution of the cycle of life, and it begins again. Okay, now tonight I shall attempt to break the barriers of my dimensional fabrics of reality by explaining what lies beyond our universe and into the next Big Bang, and even beyond that by explaining the multi-dimensional evolution of the universe. Since I don't want to lose my place, I shall start at the beginning. The first dimension was a dimension before time, before the physical universe took shape, that some have called the primordial void. Particles sat in a spaceless blank region, separated far from each other, without charge, without shape. They were the remnant particles ejected from existence that had been projected at speeds beyond the speed of light, and thus beyond the barriers of the universe and into this spaceless void. Then came the moment of the first fusion of matter. Within the secular religions this is the moment of the Word. Outside of the Christian religions this is the moment when a being or deity first willed the universe into creation. Regardless of the exact description of this source, for mathematical purposes we shall refer to this source as a positive charge projected from within some point in existence. This Higgs boson photon-based charge fused the first particles of the universe together with the force of kinetic vibration. The one fundamental force that is present and a balanced equal part of every single object within and beyond the solid particle universe, kinetic force. It applies to all fields of the four known particle forces that control the shape and formation of every single object, the very motion of time itself, and is present until every object's natural decay. Some describe this vibration to have emitted a sound that could be described in our ability of understanding to be that of Om. This is of course pointless to argue, because there was no capacity for sound at that moment, for there was no space until this moment. Then the vibration split with the sudden formation of particle matter, which caused a reaction that can be compared to a backdraft. Then chain reaction of fused particle matter increased the vibrational kinetic charge exponentially, fusing the particle forces of vibration and particle mass that created gravity, and so thus space and time were created as the byproduct which gave way to the expansion era of the universe. As more particles fused, that gave way to more combinations of particles, and the second dimension began. This was the moment of the Big Bang. The backdraft of expanding particles condensed into a single finite point, since space had not yet expanded its borders. This finite point was roughly the size of Saturn. It is my assumption, but do not quote me on this, that the star known as Methuselah is the remnant of this event, for it predates the limits of the universe itself. The only stellar object that could possibly do this would be the object that formed in this pre-expansion event. The expansion era gave way to two separate particle fields and the aspect of entropy as a byproduct. The strong nuclear field that expanded with the exponential increase in particle matter, and the weak nuclear force that is the fundamental force that drives the decay of matter back into a formless particle when it is spent and has no charge left to hold it together. These two forces are the foundations that define time as well, and sets it on its continuous eternal motion forward, thus bringing the process of evolution into being. Evolution is the process on which we define the formation, lifespan, and then the process of decay back to a formless particle, which is then recycled back into the universe as it is fused with new energies and new particles. That brings us up to the current cycle or phase of the universe's evolution, as we exist in a third-dimensional universe of solid particles that is governed and made possible by the magnetic force of gravity in the fourth particle field. This is the fundamental fabric that binds together all solid objects and is held within the aspects of the universe within the luminescence field, an energy pattern that coexists beside the universe itself that seems like an alternate dimension. This luminescence field is the next phase of universal expansion that can be detected by our current technology. This field expands into the fourth-dimensional universe through the next dominant particle field, which is the luminous field of the light spectrum, which expands through the total encompassment of time. Here the fundamental fabrics of the first vibrational field and the spectrum of light waves are split into sound waves that are fused through radio wave bursts, and time becomes an aspect that is measured by frequency decibels. And that is the furthest I can explain with our concepts of description, for my mind cannot conceive past this point, for it is a third-dimensional object. I can say that each object's entropy cycle is set not by its fusion of gravitational force but by its decibel frequencies, strength and limits of reach. Some side points I would like to add has to do with the fears scientists have of the expansion crisis, that the universe will eventually expand too far apart from each other so that solid particles can't maintain form and we drift into non-existence. I assure you not to worry. This stage that you have perceived in the universe is a part of what is supposed to be. When that expansion reaches an equal parallel position from a corresponding particle, we have reached the halfway point of this universe's cycle of existence, and that expansion will begin to retract and draw back inward, creating two waves of force that will be the destruction of this universe's origin point. When those two waves collide in the central point of the universe's total mass, creating the stellar object that will instantly collapse from such force and mass into the black hole that will draw everything into it, and the expansion era of the next universe will begin from there and a new Big Bang will occur. Any who wish to seek eternal life and continue into the next universe, this is the aspect to focus your attention on. For this is the event you'll want to linger as far away as possible from until the final bits of the universe is swallowed into it and through this event horizon and into the next universe, most likely being ejected from the moment of its collapse and out of the Big Bang that will occur at that moment. I will also add that the cause that I perceive to be the force that began the universe, that origin of the charge that caused the first formation, though it had a consciousness of will within it, the energy that caused it had originated from the end of existence. At the very end of the universe, all things from beginning to the end shall fold in on itself, as all 16 phases of the universal expansion will fuse into one finite point. The byproduct of this event will catapult itself beyond the barriers of space and time, forcing the fields of antimatter to coexist within the barriers of matter that will cause the first formation and fusion of particles. However, the first particles to be present that formed all other particles that exist were hydrogen, helium and nitrogen. The first two are mathematically possible, but it is the third particle, nitrogen, that should not have been there and cannot be explained as for its presence there unless something had brought it there somehow, for nitrogen is a byproduct of the fusion of hydrogen and oxygen, so how could it have been present before the fusion of those particles, as it is a fused particle itself, unless something of sentient will 3D carbon printed that particles fusion into the primordial fabrics. So mathematically it would not be possible for the universe to have formed without the presence of the Creator. His presence in the mathematical equation is fundamental for the universe to have begun in the first place, logically. Another issue I want to point out is that this signal wave that seems to be causing unforeseeable changes in people's brain wave patterns. This energy beam that was at first thought to have been a wave of particle debris from a nearby unknown supernova event back in 2016. There is a variant in the wave's emission that is described to be very similar to that of observing a star's radiance when searching for planets in unknown galaxies, as in the variant may be similar in its effect as a planet obstructing the signal. If these fallen angels have a cycle of influence, then perhaps it is because these fallen angels are some type of projection from another world, and their cycle of influence is because of a planet that obstructs their signal. Also, I want to reveal what I have done here recently. Taking in all my mystic knowledge I have attained, I have created an angel that is like those of the gods, as in used the same methods that he implies to create an angel who will be guiding and leading humanity towards surviving this epidemic and your technological breakthroughs and colonizing new worlds. Through the arts I have learned, I used the Arjun method with all the recent deaths due to COVID-19 and the faith that humanity has given to me because of Apophis's diversion and the video I made about the divine spark with the Highlander reference in it, and fused all these together to make a neon, a spiritually based guardian angel who will be the unseen protector of humanity's journey into the stars. My gift to you all, he is born forth from humanity's hopes for survival, made possible by those who have perished, formed from the faith and beliefs of mankind for the sole purpose of mankind's survival. But I have not given him a name yet, I shall leave that to mankind. He shall be seen as the unseen hand that moves behind the scenes and is like those of the spirits. Know these things so that you might know his passage and not hold unjustly convictions against him, for he has been made to be mankind's salvation. It is within the core of his being to be this.